Welcome back to Two Attorneys Arguing. Craig, one of our videos the other day hit 3.4 million views, and it was dealing with the Carnival rides.
Yes. I actually saw, I saw that it hit that many, and I made the mistake of reading some of the comments. And my goodness.
Don't do that.
Some of you people, my God.
They get mad.
The one that bugged me the most is the people who took it the wrong way, as though I was trying to tell people, hey, listen, live your life always thinking about how it will affect your lawsuit or not. That was not the advice. The advice is don't ride dangerous rides. But if you choose to ignore that advice and ride dangerous rides anyway, don't ride the ones at the carnival, ride the ones at Walt Disney or Busch Gardens. Not because your lawsuit will be better, because they can actually pay the money on a big judgment, and therefore they will make sure that you don't get hurt on their rides because it would actually cost them money and you'll end up being safer. So no, I wasn't telling you how to make the best of your lawsuit. Man, people really don't like lawyers.
They hate the billboards.
Well, you know,
they hate the billboards.
I hate the billboards too.
Even ours?
Not ours.
Ours look pretty good.
Ours look great.
Yellow and black. We got your back.
I hate the ones that have these numbers because there's so much that number doesn't tell you about.
Yeah, there's a little unfairness about that, but I understand the point of doing that. The issue that I found out, I had gotten an argument with one of the people who left a comment. One of the people go, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking about."
Oh, we absolutely know what we're talking about. I actually saw many comments from people who worked carnivals, owned parts of carnivals, and anyone who had any experience with it said, yeah, he's dead on. Listen to him.
I got into it with one person because they said, well, you could sue the state or municipality. And I think when people use the word municipality, they know a little law, but just enough to give the wrong answer.
They know enough to really screw it up.
Yeah. Because I said, listen, some states and cities don't offer that type of insurance, or they say they're not responsible for it. Like in Florida, you're limited to 200, 300. I mean, that's the amount of money, you have to pay. Certain states don't have it at all. Some states have ridiculous money. But, that happens, and I feel sad. And I said, don't go on these rides. I'm just saying that if you do get hurt, there's a good chance you won't be covered. So be careful.
At a carnival.
Yes.
If you get hurt at a big place, you will be covered. And that's why you can rest assured when you go on those rides at the big places, because they have the money and the engineers and Disney, the maintenance Universal, crew to make sure that you don't get hurt.
Now, we got a question the other day brought to us by a listener. We said, hey, you got any questions? Contact me at jeff@whenyouneedus.com.
Do people actually respond to that? Do they have questions?
They have questions.
Really?
So I'm going to read the question from an Elizabeth Miller. If I have a dog inside a chain link fence and someone climbs inside and is substantially harmed by my dog, am I liable? Does it make a difference if I know he bites, had a sign, or if the person was a kid, or if they died?
All right, that's a lot of different questions.
We're going to unwrap that slowly.
That's not the same question. Generally speaking, you are responsible for your dog attacking other people. Florida law, though, lets you, so you might not be able to avoid the lawsuit, but I don't think you'll end up getting sued because the comparative negligence of the person climbing over the fence can be considered. I think if you're sitting on a jury, think of your 12, 6 closest friends, whatever jury and state you're sitting on. They have a lot of common sense. Yeah. If you climb a fence to get into a yard and you get bit, that's a lot of comparative negligence. Some might say it's completely your fault.
Dog law is very different in every state. For example, when I went to law school, my research assignment was actually dealing with dog law in Florida, which I never imagined so many years later I'd be representing somebody who got bit by a dog. Now, people ask if the signs are a big deal. Yes. If you put a sign up that says bad dog, you're protected unless the person is 6 years old, below 6 years old.
Right. So you're always responsible for anything your dog does to a kid that's 6 or under. So you should anticipate that if somebody brings their little 5-year-old over, that 5-year-old is going to smack your dog in the face. You should anticipate that and put your dog up.
Now, the fence plays in too, because in Florida, the rule is it's like the 50% rule. If the person who hopped the fence, if a jury believes they're more than 50% responsible for their actions, then the other side walks. Now, here's a factor that a lot of people don't realize when they deal with dog bites. Oh, well, I'll get paid. It depends. Certain homeowners policies don't cover certain breeds of dog. For example, Rottweilers, Chow Chows, and Pit Bulls are normally not covered under a home insurance policy, and you have to get a special rider to have them covered. Now, I'm going to hear some stuff from some listeners. Well, pit bulls aren't bad. I'm not saying pit bulls are bad. I'm not saying Rottweilers are bad. I'm not saying Chow Chows are bad.
Can we say that, though? Can we say that those breeds of dogs
please
are
don't.
bad?
Please
can't
don't.
say that.
Please don't. I studied enough dog law and enough dogs to know that DNA is in. You don't remove the lion from the lion solely because you gave him Cheetos when he was growing up.
Yeah.
It just works that way. And listen, if you're an owner of a Chow, a Pit Bull, a Rottweiler, you have a higher responsibility. It just is. That dog has a propensity. It's in the DNA. It was raised that way. It was culled that way. People who know the word culling knows what I'm saying. And if you're arguing with me, if you know the word culling, then you're just trying to make yourself feel better because you have a sweet dog. I had a sweet Chow Chow. That dog never got off the floor. It just stayed there. It was a rug. It was a great dog. I went to the vet one day. Somebody came up and gave me a hassle, and this dog's face peeled back. I didn't know the dog had teeth. It just naturally reacted, and I was holding the dog firmly. There was no reason for me to believe that Jasmine, the sweet black Chow Chow, would have lit this dude up, but she was going to.
Yeah.
And I was grateful she was going to because it was my life on the line. But I had kind of ignored the breed concept and what it was. And, you know, I knew enough about dogs to know certain things are bred in. Retrievers like to retrieve stuff. You know, how many dogs do you see that always carry stuff in their mouth? And they were raised that way. They're retrievers. They want to carry stuff in their mouth. They were born that way, just natural. So just realize that if you have one of these dogs, you might have to contact your homeowner's insurance policy and make sure that they're covered. If not, you're going to have to pay money on top of your regular home insurance. We actually had a case, remember, where this dude owned a cat, and it hopped into the neighbor's backyard, and the dog basically ate the cat. And the guy was devastated.
The guy? Who's the guy?
The guy who owned the cat. Yeah.
Well, he needs to keep his
Mittens.
cat on a leash.
Let's call it Mittens.
He needs to keep his cat on a leash.
I don't want to be that guy.
You can't just let your cat free to roam the world.
Have you seen that out in the wild?
The cat is trespassing.
I think cats like to be out.
I don't think the cat likes being in the backpack.
I don't know. I have never talked to the cat. I never know.
I think you can tell by their body language they don't like being.
I mean,
have you ever tried to put a cat in a bag?
The cat has like a note on it, like 911
Have you ever
or
tried
something.
to put a cat in a bag?
I have never even thought of that. And I think you should not admit to ever trying to stick a cat in a bag either.
I had to put a cat in a bag one time. I had to take my friend's cat to the vet.
Oh.
And I only had a motorcycle.
You're on the back. You're that guy?
So I go to pick up the cat, and I put the cat in my backpack, right? And I'm doing it the right way. So
how is there a right way to stick a cat in a backpack?
The backpack is on the gas tank, and I have it zipped up, except for I got its head out of the backpack, so it can look around and see what's going on. I don't want it to get scared. So I start driving to the vet, like I told my friend I would do. No, it was a rice burner. It was, yeah. So I'm going, and I get to the end of the apartment complex, and the cat's freaking out.
Of course.
It busts out of the backpack because I don't have it zipped all the way up, and it jumps on the handlebars while I'm driving. And so I almost crashed the motorcycle trying to get this cat to the vet. So I'm going to put the cat into the backpack, and then I zipped it all the way up. The vet was only like a mile away.
This sounds like, and the cat was dead when I got there.
So it was only a mile away. So, Rob, I'm sorry I did this to your cat, but it's content now. Anyway, I zip it up, and it immediately stiffens. I can tell it doesn't like it. But, I mean, we're right there. I mean, I could see. For the welfare of the cat, it had to go through this. Yes, I could see where I was going. So, I put the cat in the backpack, and the whole time it's trying to get out. I get to the vet, and I stop, and I take the cat out of the backpack, and the other people going into the veterinarian office, they reported me to the vet. So I had to hear from my friend, hey, what? I got my cat back when I got back from vacation. The vet said that whoever dropped it off.
He told on you?
Yes.
He told on
you?
The
vet
and
told
the vet
on
told.
Me. Yes.
What happened to, patient, client? I guess you weren't the client. The cat was the client.
Well, I transported the cat.
Yeah. I would have lied. I don't know what they're talking about.
I don't know.
See, I think you can lie about that. I think you can with a straight face.
I can?
Yes, you can.
I didn't do that. The cat stayed. I had the head out the whole
What are you
time.
talking about? That cat rode my jacket the whole way.
I was holding
That
him.
cat was my ride or die.
I was holding him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's wrap up Elizabeth Miller's question.
All right. So, Ms. Miller, you're always responsible for the actions of your dog, no matter where it is and what's going on. As one of your defenses, somebody else's actions, if they're negligent, can be taken into account. Climbing over the fence, absolute problem for somebody trying to sue you for getting bit by your dog. But if you're walking your dog, there's no requirement that, oh, he's been bad in the past, and that's why I shouldn't be held responsible for him breaking off my leash and biting somebody. You're still responsible in that situation. You have to control your animal at all times. The only time you don't have to do that is if it's on your property and you have a bad dog sign. And then you're okay unless the person who gets bit is 6 or under.
Well,
hence
that'll
my
do it.
advice why you should, if somebody's bringing their kids over, no matter how gentle and nice your dog has ever been, just protect yourself. Put the dog in the bedroom until the little kid leaves.
Hope that works for you, Elizabeth.